This is Tim. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for joining me today. I've got something I think is going to be really fun to do. Before I get started with that, though, I got to give you a little bit of a history lesson. What you just heard there in the intro to the video was a song that my band wrote way back in the late 20th century, around the year 1988. So that puts it about 32 years ago. And that was real shortly after I had started playing guitar, period. I picked up music December of '83. I got my first keyboard and I learned how to play jump, and from 84 then on through I played synthesizers. But in '88, right after I graduated high school, I had been in another band before that, but after I graduated high school, I joined a band with some other friends, and they asked me, said, we really need a rhythm guitar player more than we need a keyboard player. We'll do some stuff with keyboards, but we really need another guitar player. So I picked up guitar, started learning how to play guitar. The lead guitarist in the band, Eric Brock, showed me some power chords. I think we started playing Living After Midnight by Judas Priest was probably the first thing we learned. And then after that, we started learning to write our own original songs. And that was the intro to one of the songs called Let's Rock Together. And my contributions to that song were that intro part that we just heard, and I also wrote the main riff for the chorus. But I'm concentrating on the intro today. I want to play it again. This was real shortly after I had started playing. I had probably been only playing maybe 5-ish months by that point. We probably formed the band. I know it was summer after we graduated, so that would have been around June. And then this song was probably written around September, October of that year. And this was me playing the intro. But the rest of the band got bored waiting for that intro to be over. So they would always fade in their instruments a little early and just kind of cut me off. Be like, yeah, we're going to play the rest of the song now because that's a lot more fun than just standing around watching Tim play this intro badly. But that intro is the basis for what I'm going to work on today. I wanted to show off a new free instrument that I just got. Some of you may have heard of it already, some of you may have not. It is the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover. There's several versions of the BBC Symphony Orchestra's virtual instrument. I forget what the other ones are called. The next step up is called Core. I remember that. And it's several $100s. And then the next step up on top of that, the full version, is several $100s more. It comes on its own external hard drive. It's just massive. And it's a full orchestra virtual instrument. But so is this one. And I wanted to talk about it because I got a free copy of it. Anybody can go and get a free copy of it, actually. It says on the website when you go there that it costs $49, but that's only if you want to download it immediately. If you're willing to wait an extra 14 days, all you have to do on the website is fill out a questionnaire and then wait 14 days, and they email you a link to download it for free. So let's add a new track here in Reaper, and I'm going to add that on so we can take a look at it. All right, get to my VST eyes. Whoops, wrong setting. VSTI 3, BBC Symphony Orchestra. And here's what it looks like. Now this is, real time. My laptop is an older i7 quad-core processor. So it's a powerful processor, but this laptop is probably, we bought it 7 or 8 years ago, and it was a refurbished laptop then, so this is probably looking 8, 9, maybe 10 years old. Probably the first generation of the i7. So anything you buy today is going to be much more powerful, much quicker. This one still loads very fast though. This plug-in is incredibly tiny compared to the power that you're going to get out of it. But when it opens up, you're going to be looking at this. Let me move over here to my settings, make sure I'm on the MIDI input. What am I looking at here? Oh, I have to edit that. Input MIDI. Let's just do all MIDI inputs, all channels. That way I get everything quickly. Mic plan. And there we got some strings. All right, now, the way an orchestra plugin works is you're going to have what they call articulations of each sound. Right now we're looking at the string section, the violins, and they sound pretty good. Very nice sounding, but you can also change down here the articulations. That was just some long notes we're listening to, and we're going to do some spiccato. Some short notes, and then pizzicato where they pluck the string. And you can hear the whole section plucking. And then you got a tremolo where they're going to be playing fast notes for a long period. And so there's different articulations. Now the full versions of this are going to have a lot more articulations, a lot more variations on those. This is just a basic, the freebie version, but it still sounds great. Now some of the other sounds, let me get to like some of the horns here. Let's go down and look at the, where are my French horns at? Yeah, horns one. There we go. These are going to just have two. You've got long and you've got staccatissimo. So the long horns. But if I wanted to play some short notes. So there's that. So those are a lot of really good sounds. This has got a full orchestra to it. I'm going to delete this track that I've got on here right now. And I want to show you the way to use this the most effectively is basically to build a separate track for each instrument that you want. That way you can have a separate MIDI track going through, and you can also put a separate track for each of the articulations that you want. So what I did was I went back through, and it took me a couple of hours to set up. I believe I've heard a rumor that Spitfire Audio, who produces the plugin, is going to be releasing some track templates for different DAWs. And I went ahead and just built my own because I didn't know they were building anything, and I just wanted to go ahead and start using it. So what I did was I built a separate track with a separate instance of the plugin on each track. Now that may sound like, ooh, that's really going to eat up my CPU, but it doesn't, because this plugin is so tiny. Even my ancient 8 or 10-year-old laptop can do over 40, almost 50 tracks of this with an instance on each track without chugging, without choking, without having any kind of dropouts whatsoever. I went ahead and I built different articulations for each part. Like for the violins, there were 4 articulations. So I built 4 violins tracks, and I grouped them into a bus so that I would have one master fader for each of those 4 articulations. They would all be on the same fader, and then I can adjust them individually in between as well, but that, just gives you greater control. I did that for every instrument, every articulation, all the way through the entire orchestra. And it's a huge plugin. I'm going to go ahead and insert that now. I've got a track template that I built, track from template, and you can see all the different track templates I built here. I've got one just for the percussion, just for the strings, the woodwinds, and then if I wanted to drill down and just insert the different violins or the tubas or piccolos, I could do those individually, but let's just do the full orchestra. I wanted to do this, A, to show you how big it is, and B, to show you how long it's going to take to load even on an older laptop. So here we go. Real time, not going to edit. Should have the Jeopardy music playing. And there it is, loaded. The whole thing on an almost decade-old laptop. And let's just scroll down through now. We can see I've got here at the top, I've got the violins. There's 2 sections of violins, violas, cellos, basses. Then we get down into the horns, the trumpets. And as we get down through, we get to the trombones, tubas, flutes. We get into the woodwinds and bassoons. Then we get down into some, there are several different things that are lumped under the percussion section, from the harp up here on track 57 down through the glockenspiel. I put those all just on their own individual tracks without a master bus. They don't have any individual articulations, but you can see this came down to track number 64. So if we go back up to the top here, I had 2 tracks already. So there's 62 tracks that I installed with my template. A lot of them are the main bus, so we got some of those. I think it ended up being something like either 52 or 57 instances of the plugin on each track, and it works really well. I wanted to show you then what I took that intro that I played at the beginning, and I made a full project out of that. I didn't use the entire orchestra. This is what I ended up just using for my track. So I'd use some violins, clarinets, flutes, trombones, and some trumpets, some of the French horns. And then I got the individual percussion instruments I used. There's a little bit of some timpanis, some bells, and the harp is where I started. I'm going to show you that sound first. Here's just the harp by itself. And it's a nice harp sound. Doesn't really, isn't what jumps to mind when you think of, I'm going to take a guitar intro to a rock song and I'm going to make it a symphonic piece. But this harp sound is really good. Listen to the bass on the harp. If you've got headphones on, that's a really good, deep sound. And then we've got, you can go to the timpanis. Those are good noises. You can find a lot of free symphonic orchestral instruments on the internet, but my experience has been that a lot of them don't sound really all that authentic. If they do sound authentic, there's only a couple of things to work with. You don't have the full orchestra. But here we've got that, and then I've got, bells that sound really good. We get to, let me play, what do I have got on that percussion here? There's a lot of different percussion sounds, and usually you're going to have to find a whole bunch of different plugins to try and build all this stuff and get a good result. It's all in one. I started with, let me see if I can just solo my harp track here. I should also solo my mic so you can hear me talking. Okay, so I'm just going to play the intro that I wrote. This was the guitar part, and I just transcribed the notes straight to the harp sound. I slowed the tempo down a little bit. I kind of changed the rhythms a little bit from what you heard in the intro, just to kind of make it go along with a click. Obviously, when I'd only been playing for a few months, I wasn't real good with my tempo, and everything just kind of sounded very hacky. So there's the intro that I built, and then I started making the rest of my arrangement around that. I added a lot of different instruments, and I kind of just did it as a joke. I wanted to show it to the guys in the old band, say, hey, this would have been cool to have back in the 80s, wouldn't it? And the more I started adding, the more I started layering onto this, the more my eyes kind of started widening, and my jaw dropped a little bit, and I was like, this sounds like the real deal. Like, this sounds like I meant it to be a symphony piece, and I'm just messing around. Imagine what you can do if you're actually into orchestral composition, or you are scoring something for a TV show or a movie. This is what you would be using. This is amazing. But I wanted to show you guys what I ended up coming up with out of that little hacky guitar intro I started off with 32 years ago. And show you what I made it into today. Here is the symphonic version of the guitar intro to 1988's Let's Rock Together. All right, so that is it. That is my symphonic production for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, if you would please like and subscribe to the channel, that helps me out, gives me the ability to keep doing more stuff like this for you. And I will see you guys next time.